Alex, we're a few weeks on from Paris now. You've had a little bit of time to absorb everything. How does it feel to be an Olympic champion?
God, I still don't know if I have the answer to that. Well, I was speaking to my coach and a few other people, and I think for me, I'm not going to try and rush to like process it and try and, try and come up, with the perfect answer to that at the moment, because I think, I guess I've got all my life to kind of process that, and I think, coming on to SuperTri and, being still excited about racing and stuff, I think, as soon as I start looking back and stuff and appreciating that, I think, I'll probably maybe take my foot off the gas of what I'm doing. And I think for me, it's an amazing feeling, and, it's kind of what I've worked for 3 years to achieve, from Tokyo, and that's really, really special. But yeah, I don't know if it's possible for me to kind of process that until I actually fully stop and go, wow, this is, pretty cool and pretty special.
You hear this cliche that it's like a whirlwind after the Olympics, especially if you win it. How have you found it? Has it been a whirlwind for you?
Yeah, I mean, it happened so slowly but so quickly, I'd say. Like, it was one of those things where, like, the race, I could take you back through, any given second of the race, and probably even, with the build-up as well, similar. So I think it's one of those things which, I can look back on very, like, specifically, but also at the same time, it absolutely flew past, and, everything kind of happened so quickly. So yeah, I guess it's probably not true that it is, happened so quick. And yeah, it's still hard for me to speak about, I think, just because, I still don't think I have the answers or the right answer, and I don't know if there is ever going to be the right answer to kind of justify, the work you put in, and I guess how lucky I am to receive the reward that I was able to attain from that. So yeah, really special.
I guess that's the thing with processing it, is that you, as you say, 3 years of hard work since Tokyo, but really it's a lifetime of hard work to get there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I guess, like, I mean, I've probably thought about being an Olympic athlete, since I was, 14 years old, I'd say, probably. And that goal has always been something in the back of my mind, and I probably never thought about, outcomes and medals and stuff like that. But, realizing the level of what it takes to become an Olympic athlete has been, something which I've been working towards, and trying to better myself and be the best person I can be each time has always been the thing that's, motivated me and driven me. And I think for me, between Tokyo and now it was all about just getting better. And if I get better, then I give myself a chance to be in the race. And yeah, luckily I was able to do that, and have that special moment.
They say for these big events, you really have to stay in your process. So how were you feeling the night before? What was going through your mind?
I said it about, Tokyo as well. We had like a weird scenario with the boat, just before the start. And obviously this time we've had, the uncertainty about swimming in the water and whether we're going to have a triathlon. So I think, to have those little uncertainties does bring you back and be like, okay, this is just a triathlon. This is just a race. Like, and it's important to remember that, but it's also important to remember it's also not. And it's, a bigger scale. So I think, those two things kind of married up well. And, with that kind of news of, the first day, obviously the race being postponed, I think you can take that, whatever way you want to. And for us, within British Triathlon, we try to frame it in the most possible way we could, because, if you don't, then you can go to turmoil, into meltdown, and everything can just, self-sabotage. So I think for us, it worked out the best to just be positive and frame it that way.
I think it's really interesting, actually, that you would say you were relieved it was a triathlon, because I wonder if you wound back even a couple of years ago, people might have thought, well, if it goes to being a duathlon, that's something that really plays into Alex's favour. So I think it's really interesting that for you, actually, you wanted that to be a triathlon, not a duathlon, even though those two runs maybe played to your strengths a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, grown up, doing the sport for 18 years to not do a triathlon, in my probably biggest race of my life. I've always said that I want to be seen as a triathlete. I don't want to be seen as, a person who can bike and run well, and gets lucky in the swim. I want to be somebody who, races on the front foot, puts pressure on the race, and people enjoy watching racing, to be honest, and want to, see me race and want to start the sport because of, watching, myself race, myself battle with Hayden or whoever it is. So yeah, I think for me, it's always been about, I would never even, it would have never crossed my mind that I would have wanted a duathlon because it's easier or anything, because I don't know, it might not have even been easier, but also it's just not what I'm motivated to do, I guess.
So obviously this isn't all a blur for you. So can you take me back to when you're stood on that start line? What's going through your mind? Are you thinking about the race? Are you thinking about the journey of how you got there? The next 2 hours could really define your life. What's going through your mind?
So I was quite lucky that we randomly allocated our numbers just before the Olympics starts, and I was actually number 56. I was the last person that walked onto the pontoon, which could be seen as a good thing and a bad thing. But for me, it worked out really well that, I kind of walked down, actually only had 15 seconds, I think, before, stood on the start line, and then the gun went. Whereas I have been stood on the pontoon before, and, everyone's getting called out, and you're like looking around, who's going to come up next to you, what's going to happen, and you're externalizing what your thoughts are. Whereas to me, I was able to walk in, 15 seconds, internalize everything I was thinking, and just think about switching on and committing to what I was doing in that first part. And, I'd worked on that process. I'd done that race start, 300 times, 400 times in training, in a lake, in specific conditions, in current situations as well. So I think for me, I felt like I'd been there already, and to an extent I had with the testament as well. But yeah, I think for me that was the important thing, was just switching on and, not letting yourself appreciate the gravity of the situation, kind of when I was stood up waiting to walk in and walk down and look around, see the crowd. Like, it's important to do that because you will regret it, fundamentally when you retire or when you look back on your memories of Paris. But for me, once I got down those steps and got on the pontoon, it was all about internalizing and just committing to what I was doing.
So talk us through that swim a little bit, and actually how you'd gone about preparing for that. You did say that you'd kind of done some very specific preparation over a long period of time. That's a long time to be preparing for just one swim. So talk us through how you got to that point, and then how it went.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been lucky to work with a very good open water swim coach called Phil Clayton, who was an amazing legend in surf lifesaving before he then turned to just doing open water swimming and coaching. So we were really lucky to be guided by him, for 3 years leading up to Paris Testament and then the Paris Games. And we've been lucky enough to go to Australia and experience some of the similar current situations that we were going to experience in Paris, and it always was, something which we did think was going to affect the race, from quite early doors, not to the same extent as we experienced, but yeah, I think for me to have experienced that early, kind of early enough, and then then feel familiar with it when it actually came to a race scenario. Even with our prep camp, we found, a very specific river which had, at the right time, the same river current and the same flow as the race. So for me to be able to, experience swimming with and against, and also swimming around the boys, was really insightful. And, I feel like I learned a lot from experiencing things and going through those experiences. So I think that was really beneficial. And then the other thing was completely reconstructed my stroke from 18 months ago to now, and made sure it was more hydrodynamic because of the swim speeds we were swimming, with and against in the current. We knew that would be something which should be super critical in, maintaining, momentum or trying to maximize, swim speed going with the current.
So how difficult was that to do? Because you build up this way of swimming over a long period of time. Physiologically, you're developed for that way of swimming, and now you're trying to row back on that and actually create a new swim stroke, as it were, a new technique. How difficult was that to actually do?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the things which I had to stay the most patient with, that I've actually done so far. I think, to tear something up and start again was, was a challenge, and definitely didn't come without my probably doubts in my head of like, why am I doing this? Because I'm getting so much worse at swimming at this point. And I had to reframe it in my mind that, this is just a process, and, you're going to have to go through this. And a lot of the time I probably wasn't swimming where I wanted to be. And Adam was always reminding me that, this is all about that one swim on that meant to be the 30th of July. And it doesn't matter if we don't deliver it any time up to that point, but if we deliver it on the 30th of July, then that's when it really matters. And that's when, that's when it's going to make a difference. And, to an extent, I was probably like, yeah, okay, I'm with you, I'm buying in. But then I guess, not doing that, even weeks before the race, to then actually, go out on the race day. And then I think I was around the buoy like 6th or 5th or 6th, which is for me, almost unheard of. So I think that was a really special moment to be like, even to set up the race and set it up as I meet to go on, I think was really, really positive for me in my head. But yeah, I think it's funny because I think I got very good at swimming well. I was very fast at swimming badly, whereas then I was becoming very, very slow at swimming well, if that makes sense. Yes. So it was like the process of then bringing up back up the, now I can swim well. Like, how can I bring that back up to then match up to where I was before, and then hopefully beyond.
So how challenging was it then over that period of time? Because I think a lot of athletes maybe would go, if it's a period of 18 months or whatever, it'd be very hard to stay focused on, well, no, it's just that one race on that one day that matters, and I'm not going to have performance anxiety or let my confidence be dented by the results that come in between. I just know I'm going to be ready for that one day. But I imagine mentally that must be incredibly challenging for an athlete, and from a confidence point of view. How did you kind of get through that? How did you stay on top of that?
One of the things which I found has really helped me is that I've now reframed like how failure is in my mind. And I think, failure is actually a fine term for me to use, because I feel like I actually learn so much from, things not going 100% to plan. And that's actually where I do, the majority of my growth and majority of my learning. And, for me, that was probably, a lot of the case with the swim stuff is I actually would, I'd go in a lot of swim starts and would get smashed and wouldn't go the way I'd wanted. But that actually was really positive for me and led to a lot of growth. And as long as I internalize and focus on the process of what I'm doing instead of focusing on the outcome of that, then I found that I was able to, grow and grow and grow from those kind of, experiences.
How easy has that process become? Because I know when we did a big face-to-face interview last year, you talked a little bit about when you'd had these big one-day events and it hadn't quite gone right for you, and therefore trying to accept, I guess, to a certain extent, failure and learn how to deal with that and then how to grow with that. So how has that gone?
Yeah, I think, when things don't go to plan, you actually start to, strip apart things and have a look, deeper under the surface than you would maybe if things go well. And I think that's another thing which I've started to do now, is actually when things go well, there are still a lot of things, no one has a perfect race within triathlon. There is so much to unpick. And I think those are the little things which are, excite me and get me out of bed, are the things which don't go to plan and us, there's still growth there. And I think, when you get to a point where there's no growth and no room, no room where you can improve, then I think that's when, fair play to you, you've got to an amazing point within triathlon. But I also think that, that's probably a million miles away from where we are now.
I guess it's part of a challenge for all elite sports people, because just when you were talking there, what came into my head was that viral clip recently of Roger Federer where he's talking to those university students. And he's saying that he lost, I think, 54% of all points that he played, or he won 54%. Anyway, he lost about half of all points that he ever played as a professional tennis player. Yet he is generally regarded as one of the best, if not the best, tennis player of all time. And so his point that he was making is that in life, but particularly in elite sport, I guess, you have to be able to deal with failure and understand that that's part of what happens.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, like people probably don't see, you know, how I train day to day on a day-to-day basis, but in the swim, I will sometimes, you know, we'll do time trials and I'll sometimes be the worst person in the pool when I'm swimming. And I think for me, that is something which really excites me, is the fact that I am, you know, have that kind of threat within training and that challenge. And I think for me, that does bring out the best in me, that I'm able to, you know, decompress from each session and strip apart, you know, the little process things which do make the difference. And, you know, I probably don't ever stop thinking about those little things and those finer details. And I think that's kind of what's helped me make the difference, you know, within my swim and within my biking, within my run, to kind of, I guess, race the best I can, is kind of being picky with what I do and relating that all to kind of a process, and yeah, embracing, you know, whether it is failure or success, and kind of, yeah, treating both, you know, in a positive way of trying to get the most out of it.
So now you've come out of that swim, you got out onto the bike, you're in that lead pack, the lead pack's just starting to form and work together properly. I guess at that point, going through your mind is, as long as nothing crazy happens here, this is probably about, I guess, within margin, the best case scenario of really where I would be. And as long as I keep this together and you know, avoid any disasters, this is going to be a run for the Olympic gold here. So what's going through your head at that time?
If I'm being honest, I was trying to make the group work as hard as we could. I was trying to G up the guys in the group and just get everyone working through and try and make the race, you know, fast and honest. And I think that's how everyone wanted to race the race. And yeah, for me, I was just trying to get the guys as motivated to go through and work together. And I think, you know, as much as I wanted a run race and for it to come down to a run, I also wanted it to be a hard bike, wanted it to be, you know, a hard triathlon. So I think for me, that was kind of what I went out to do, is, you know, set my stall, do lots of turns whilst you know, the race was split up, and hopefully make it as exciting as possible. And yeah, I don't want to ever settle, I think, is the thing within my racing, is I don't want to, I guess, get to a point where I get to the front and I'm able to swim, you know, it within the race and be competitive from the swim, and then just sit in, and because no one really wants to see that. I think, you know, I've always tried to you know, when I can, animate a race and try and at least contribute to kind of what's going on, you know, not just on the run. So
well, I think that's a great credit to you and to your great rival Hayden Wild. I mean, you're both obviously, you do different races, but you're very dynamic racers. You race hard, you want to leave it all out there, and you respect that when it all finishes, when all's said and done, you've gone toe to toe, you've pushed each other to the limit, and the winner's the winner. But I guess one thing that I was really curious about when I was sat at home watching it, and then I reflected on it afterwards, when Hayden kind of got that pretty sizable lead, really, was there ever a moment, I'm not saying that you'd have panicked, but was there ever a moment that it came into your head, oh, actually, this isn't going to happen for me. This is just, you know, this is just not quite going to be my day?
I think there was a point where I always wanted to keep myself within a small part of the race, and I think for me that gave me a chance. As long as there was a chance in my mind, you know, I'm always switched on to what I'm doing. And you know, and that's not to discredit, you know, any other medal, any other kind of medal, any other place in the Olympics, but I think just having that, you know, that chance that there still is, you know, an opportunity, and there still could be a chance that this could happen, however small it was the thing that kept me motivated and, you know, kind of pushing to be in the race. And, you know, that middle 5K, I went through probably one of my worst, you know, bad patches maybe of my career, to be fair. So I was just feeling, you know, empty and depleted for one reason or another. But yeah, I mean, to keep myself in the race and to keep myself, you know, thinking, you know, there's a chance.
So how did you keep yourself going? How did you stay positive in those moments? Because I think you wouldn't really be human if you didn't think to yourself, well, this is my big day and my body's failing me at this moment in time when I really need it, and start to get some negative thoughts in the back of your mind. what kind of kept you going? What kept you positive and hanging in there that this could still happen for you?
It's just, I think, process of like just bringing myself back to, what I'm doing and not worrying about, what other people are doing. And at the end of the day, I've always wanted to, I've always said, if I stand on the peristyle and I race to the best of my ability, then I can't be disappointed with the outcome I have. And for me, that was all I was concerned with doing after kind of Hayden ran away was, racing to the best of my ability. And that, that was at the time, the best I had. And then, luckily I was able to kind of rally towards the end, but that all came from, I guess, internalizing, staying present with what I'm doing, thinking, what's next and what's the best thing I can do. And just trying to stay as calm as possible, I guess, in, a bit of a mad scenario.
Okay, so let's just flip the question now then, and let's just go from having asked the moment that you might have thought this isn't going to happen to the moment that you thought this is going to happen.
I think there was probably not a moment where I thought it was going to happen until I crossed the finish line and realized kind of
Not even the overtake?
No, not even. I think for me, I was still in the position where I was like, if Hayden catches me and he feels good and he overtakes me, then that's fine, because I'm giving 100% here, and this is 100% of what I have. Up until kind of 20 meters to go before the line, it's just literally couldn't think about anything else apart from just giving everything I had. And just committing to what I was doing. To then crossing the finish line and being like, what's going on? Like, what's just happened? A little bit of disbelief, a little bit of shock, and then a little bit, appreciation for kind of the race we just had, and, for Hayden for pushing me so hard and having that amazing race.
So I was going to ask you about that moment, because you've crossed the finish line. You're physically spent. You, I guess, mentally and emotionally as well. You've put so much into it. What can you actually feel in that moment? Are you just numb, basically, or are you able to think about the race or the journey you've had to get there, or your family and friends? Like, how can you remember even any of it? Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's weird, because I could tell you every moment of every second of the race all the way through, and then after the race it really does kind of blur a little bit, and I think for me, that across the finish line was like, I guess, a little bit of numbness, that I was like probably in shock of what had just happened. I guess sitting down, having that moment with Hayden, it's all just happened so quickly and always a bit of a blur. I can't really remember anything I said in any of the interviews or anything. I think the only thing I distinctly remember is, giving my girlfriend Liv and my mum a hug and stuff like that, and just wanted to say thank you to so many people. I think, my instant emotion after the race was just gratitude to everyone that had given me so much, and I felt like I instantly just wanted to go and, give, 150 people hugs who'd all helped me along the way, and, been there and understood, the journey and stuff like that. And so,
yeah, well, it must be quite a magical feeling. And then obviously since then you have, we talked at the beginning about this being kind of this whirlwind feeling, but I'm really interested to know, like, how do you feel as kind of time goes on a little bit? Because I guess you're the center of attention. You got your Olympic gold medal. You become a bit of a superstar. There's a lot of interest in you, and media, etc., etc., etc. And then at some point, you just go home, and you go in your house, and it's just you, or it's just you and Liv, and you, I don't know, you've got to just close the door and do your cooking and wash your clothes and put the bins out, and basically just be a normal person again. Like, how strange is this kind of post-race period?
Yeah, no, I'd say emotionally it is, this mad roller coaster of, you've achieved something which you've dreamed of for years, but at the same time, that's been the thing that's given you purpose for the last, 10 plus years, has been that one thing of, trying to be, the best person you can be on the day. And I think for me, it's been weird, like kind of coming from, doing these mad things, meeting crazy people and all this kind of stuff, to then go home and close your door and everything go back to normal. I think you know, everyone does talk about, you know, the Olympic blues, post-Olympic blues and kind of stuff like that. And yeah, to an extent, I think, you know, that's true. And nothing prepares you for kind of how you're going to feel after the Olympics and what's kind of, going to happen. And I think it's okay to feel, you know, a little bit, you know, not down, but just kind of emotionally drained, I guess, of kind of what's happened, because you have just put your heart and soul into, you know, achieving on one day and 2 days over the Olympics. And to then come off that, I think is, you know, really tough and really tiring. But I think for me, I've always tried to keep the purpose within being the best person I can be, and, you know, outcomes and achievements have always been something, which excite me and interest me, but fundamentally being the best athlete I can be and being better and inspiring people to take up the sport are the things which, you know, are the primary thing which get me out of bed and excite me. So to come here and to come to SuperTri and, you know, be able to do the same, I think is, you know, now giving me that purpose and exciting me and getting me out of bed. And, you know, people are excited about the sport, and we want to, you know, show the world this exciting sport and get as many people, you know, watching, participating, and just more active. So.
Well, it's all credit to you and to Hayden, and you know, I think great rivalries grow sport, and people are interested in it, people enjoy it, they love to cheer for one person or another, and that's something certainly triathlon needs a lot more of. It needs more personality, it needs more rivalries, and people who aren't afraid to say that they want to win and want to cross the finish line and celebrate because they've just won, or people that are, I guess, prepared to come across the finish line and say, well, I'm disappointed I didn't win. I'm disappointed he did win and not me. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we grow the sport, and those kind of great rivalries will help.
Fundamentally, it's based off friendship and a shared passion to grow the sport and to race the best races we can and push each other to the limit. And I think fundamentally we appreciate each other so much for that. And, you know, we're racing the show, we're entertainers fundamentally. So I'm hoping people are enjoying what we're doing, and hopefully, you know, that can lead to more people, you know, standing on the sidelines watching a SuperTri, or, you know, racing SuperTri, or, you know, any other triathlon.
Well, Alex, it's certainly, I think, a rivalry for the ages, and look, you're an inspirational guy. You've achieved something amazing. I hope that you get time at the end of the year to actually have a proper holiday and soak it in and actually process it and enjoy it. And certainly, you deserve all your success. So I hope you have time to really make the most of it. Also, thank you very much for joining us today and for talking us through this incredible period in your life.
Thank you very much for having me.